everybody. Welcome to Real Talk Fins Talk. I'm your host, Steve Malloy, and as I promised, joining me tonight is Curtis from Ace Per Head. Curtis, how you
On
doing?
time.
On time. That's a good one. I like that. If all of you, I know a lot of you that are in the chat or probably don't know, but Curtis has told me he has a problem with time.
Yeah, remembering. I'm like, oh,
Remembering time. But that's all right, man. You made it. That's what counts. You're here. But I want to welcome everybody here tonight that is in the chat. And if once you get in there, make sure you hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, because I know last week I had a lot of new folks
good.
in the chat. Hopefully they've subscribed. And if there's new people in the chat tonight, make sure you hit that bell down there, subscribe, share with your friends, your families, and your neighbors, and whatever other platform that you might be watching or listening to us on. Come over here. Join the chat over here on the YouTube channel on the Fins Talk Sports Network. Look for Real Talk Fins Talk and just hang out in the chat and converse with your fellow Dolphins. And remember, we may not always agree everything Dolphins, but there's one thing we do agree on. We are all Dolphins. And with that, Curtis, again, I welcome you. I want to start off by talking a little bit about the media day that the coaches had. And
I loved it.
I loved it too, with regards to Sully and Hafley. Tell me, what did you think of it? What did you get out of it? And what do you like? And what do you don't like?
I don't know. It would be really hard pressed to find something I didn't like. And I don't say that. I've been the Grinch when it came to the Dolphins for years. But I did 2 podcasts, like almost 40 minutes on both Hafley and Sullivan's
you did.
interviews. And I still have more stuff to cover. There's a lot. These guys, I mean, look, they're football guys. There's going to be football talks. I'm not going to tell you everything, but they're very straightforward, very transparent, and they offer really good information. I go through each little bit, but I enjoy listening to them. I felt like fingers on the chalkboard with Greer and McDaniel. These guys, I feel like they're serious. I mean, I love the last one. I just did with Hafley where he said, look, you told me you want to be great, and now it's 110 degrees and you want to quit. That's not how it works, man. You got to get, and then, if you don't hold up to your end, then you're a fraud. And I just loved how he kind of takes a little bit of McDaniel and a lot of bit of Flores and has a tough coach, strong coach, but he does it in a classy, relatable way. Yeah. And so I think he's really the best of both worlds. I like him. I mean, we got to see the talk is the talk is a talk. But as far as that goes, McDaniel and Greer couldn't even do that right. So these guys have said everything. I'm so positive because I've been saying that these things, they really are like regurgitating my deep values and philosophies on football. So I can't do anything but be excited. We got to wait to see how the acumen and the moves play out, most notably through the draft and then on game day. But what more could you want? I mean, Sullivan is just, how do you not like this guy? He talks about violence. He talks about offensive line. He talks about competition. And he keeps talking about, hey, look, first you got to love your family and then football. And some people, it's like a toe, but he always says it. But people don't realize, or maybe you're not getting out of that, if you don't love your family, then you can't love other brothers or in the game, the team, because if you can't even love your own family, who can you love? And that's really what football is about. It's about sacrificing yourself. Every rep, every rehab. My body hurts, but am I going to take this hit off, or am I going to deliver it hard? And to me, that's the core of football. It's violence, competition, and that bond, that sacrificial bond, giving everything for a goal and for the people around you. And so, a lot of people talk about it. And I think Hafley even said, he's like, yeah, a lot of people talk about it. And I could say it. Hey, we want you to be great. This is what we're about. Then you come in and it's not really what it's about. I'm like, I lower the expectations. He's like, that's not what I'm going to do. And that reminds me of Flores a ton, but Flores, we know, a little hard and there was issues there, but that's what it's about. And so we can get into the more nuance and stuff, but this is just like Shula. This is just like any good coach. You got to have you have to have, they have to fear you a little bit. They have to like you a little bit, and then they have to respect you a lot. And that's the core of it. It's just like a good father. You want your children to love you. You want them to fear you a little bit, but they've got to always respect you. And I think him and Sullivan have that kind of personality. They're hardworking guys. They built themselves up from nothing. They've come from a blue collar town. They come from a blue collar organization. It's not Miami style, the flash and the glam and the sunshine. And that's what we need. And there was a commenter in my podcast. He had a great comment. He said, remember, Shula came from Baltimore, a northern cold team.
That's right.
He brought that philosophy and that style of football. And that's a parallel for what we're doing here. So I'm not saying we're going to be Shula or whatever, but I don't know. The only thing I don't like was Hackett. And he's gone. He went to the thank the Lord. And I'm not too big on Slowick. Other than that, I like everything else.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I like them too. I think they're very transparent. Both of them very transparent. Yeah. You can tell they're both on the same page. They both know what they're looking for in football players. I like that. I like their honesty. I like they're down to earth. And as you said, Half and Sully, both those guys have worked their way up through the ranks. Sully through Green Bay, he worked his way up. He was promoted. And he probably could have gone to be a GM. I'm sure he got offers to be a GM earlier in his career, and he turned them down. And he just progressed and learned and worked him way up. And then when he was ready, he went on ahead and he took the job. And that's what I like about him. Same with Halfley. He was a college head coach, player coach. Everybody likes him. He and as you said, he has a lot of respect from other coaches, from players. I like what he's saying. They're on the same page. They're not talking down to the audience. They never talk down to the audience. They're straightforward, look you right in the eye. And if they don't know something, they're going to tell you. If they do, they're going to tell you. They're going to tell you what they know and what they don't know. They're not going to, hand you a bunch of BS, Yeah.
Like the last crew.
Like the last crew. And then you mentioned Don Shula. Well, I became a fan in 1969. I was born and raised down there in Miami, Florida. And I remember when Don Shula was hired in 1970, my stepdad came in the house, and I came in the house, and he said, the Miami Dolphins had just hired Don Shula from the Baltimore Colts. I was only like 9 or 10. I didn't know who he was. He said, I have a feeling he's going to turn this team around. And lo and behold, he did. And he brought in, he's another guy that knew what he wanted to do. He hired other assistants and coaches. They're all on the same page. They all knew what they were looking for in players. When they interviewed a player, and this is from Larry Zonka's book, although I didn't read the book, but I've heard other folks talk about who've read the book, and they said Larry Zonka mentions in his book. In fact, I heard him on a podcast. He mentioned that when Shula interviewed a player, they had to have a specific IQ, football IQ. They had to be relatively smart and intelligent players. And if they weren't what he was looking for, they wouldn't make it. They wouldn't be on the team. And as you said, he was a player coach, but he was a disciplinarian. He was hard, man. I mean, I remember back in the day, they used to do 2 and 3 practices a day in 100 degrees down in South Florida. You know, and they used to have this one one thing they did in practice that all the players dreaded. It was called the 12-mile run. They would run for 12-minute run. They'd run for 12 minutes around the field for 12 minutes in the middle of the heat, 100 and something degrees outside in South Florida with the humidity, and they would do the 12-minute run. The players hated it, but that's the kind of guy he was. Now, I'm not saying Hafley and Sully, as you said. Hafley is going to be another Don Shula, but I know there's been some talk. I've heard some podcasters, I've heard other folks on Twitter, on Facebook saying, well, I think the Dolphins, they're going to make the playoffs this year. Now, I don't know if they're going to make the playoffs this year, but you never know. The Miami Dolphins football team, when Don Shula came on, they were 4-10 the year prior. When he came on as the head coach, that year they were 10-4.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, they had, when you go the year that he came in, just look at the talent he had. How many Hall of Famers and there's a lot.
Well, here's the thing.
The other guys couldn't coach it up, and he pulled it in the years. Some of it when he came in that year. So maybe
here's the thing, though. Those players were not talented players when they came from other teams. The only one that I can recall that was a talented player that started on the offense. Now, Larry Zonka was coming into his prime when Don Shula, because I think Zonka was drafted in 68 or 69, but he was like a second-year guy, and Larry Little, he came from the San Diego Chargers, man. He wasn't that good in the San Diego Chargers. He became good when he came to Miami, and he was coached up. He was developed by the coaching staff. We didn't have Norm Evans, another guy, Doug Cruzan. These were no-name guys on the offensive line, right? The first year, Doug Cruzan, Norm Evans. You had Jim Del Monte as the center. Then you had Marv Fleming as a tight end. Manage was in there later, I think. And then you had Warfield. You had Otto Stowe, Marlon Briscoe. These guys weren't that talented, and he turned that team around in 1 year. And he added a few little pieces, but it all boils down to knowing the type of player that you want, the intellect and the physicality and the development from the coaching staff. You have to know what you want. And then he also put those players in the best position, that they could be in, right? He didn't have the system already in place. He developed the system with the players and the talent that he had. What each of those players did best. Same on the defense.
And that's what Hafley's even talking about. If you went out, part of his interview was talking about the cornerbacks and how, he's got 3 levels. There's 3 levels: the short, the medium, and the deep. And he wants to know, can a guy at least do one of those levels well? And, you're hoping for a lot of 2 guys who could do 2. And then he just puts them in position to succeed. So,
yeah, exactly.
That's what good coaching does.
That's what it does. And it takes more than just the head coach. It takes the other assistants and all your coaches, front office. They all have to be on the same page, and it can work. And I have a really good feeling. Now, I'm not saying they're going to be a playoff team this year, but I have a very good feeling they're going to be a little better than we suspect. I really do.
People out there think they're going to win 1 game, no games.
No,
I don't think that. I mean, look, I got to see it's all about how they draft. If they draft like a 7 to 8, then I'd say no way. If they wet the bed, then all right, I mean, it is a tough division. Patriots are going to be very tough. Bills are going to be very tough. I think the Jets are going to be pretty tough. And then you got a lot of this is a very tough schedule too. For me, my trajectory is, okay, we're going to win between 4 and 7 games this year. Next year, if things are going right, it will be like a late push rise to kind of get crest near the playoffs. And then I think 28's the year, because even Sullivan has said, hey, look, we're trying to win now. But there's a timeline based on what we got. And he even talked about Waddle. Well, he said Waddle's 27 and he's going to want another contract soon. And I just don't know if that matches our timeline. So I think that there's, anything can happen. You draft 3 or 4 stud players in this draft and things change. But I think they're understanding, and even Ross had mentioned like there's going to be a lot of latitude with this regime because they understand. I mean, 180, 60% of the roster is dead cap money. We're only going to be only at 40%. So I'm kind of viewing it as that it's going to be hopefully a feisty 4 to 7 wins, and then another draft and development. Because guys like Austin Jackson's a disaster, and you're paying him $9 million. He's either going to get injured or he's going to stink, or both. And so, can you fill that?
Yeah.
You got to fill a lot, and then you don't know what's happening with Jonah. Anything's possible, but for me, it's late 27, like 7 to 9 wins or 10 wins, and kind of getting close, and maybe even sneak in if it's exceptional. That would be my trajectory. It's just gonna be very hard this year. I'm maybe because I like them so much, I'm trying to tamper it down because Dolphin fans, our hearts are so beat up. It's like a piece of meat tenderized for like 6 days,
Yeah.
And so oh no, keep going, brother.
No, I was gonna say, and it's hard to say be patient, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we've been patient for 25 years, but I know Dolphin fans don't want to hear that. But anyway, look, I want to thank everybody it's in the chat right now. I see Finn Sammy's in there. Great podcast, Finn's TV. Go over there and check him out. He comes on the Finn's Talk Sports Network. Him and Bobby have I think it's Finn's Talk today. So go ahead and check him out. And everybody else that's joined, I really appreciate you all joining tonight. Make sure you hit that like button. If you're new, I see a lot of new names in here. Please hit that subscribe button if you like the content, and share with your friends, your families, and your neighbors. I've got my guest tonight is Curtis from Ace Per Head. He's another buddy of mine. He's got a really good podcast. Go over there and check him out as well on Ace Per Head. Especially these last 2 or 3 videos that he's put out. Excellent. I've
been learning how to use the technology. I always had an idea on how to present stuff, but it was just like I work on paper. But now I've figured out how to use the technology. Still a little, but I'm getting there. But there's a lot. It's amazing what this technology can do to really like kind of present visions. So yeah, I'm trying, man. I'm trying to keep up with the big guys, man.
Well, you're doing a great guy. Great job. And you're a great guy. But
tell my wife that, would you? I didn't do the dishes today. I'm gonna.
You're in trouble now, man. I just have a good feeling about this. Maybe not this year, but I have a good feeling overall. I really think and I can see that's fair what you said, 4 to 7. I think my ceiling was 6 or 7 with them this year, and maybe 3, 4 was the floor, but you never know. If
they hit on those 2 first and second, and they're above average players, and they can get 2 of the 3rd round picks to be something stable, and then maybe find a back end guy. That's a huge talent influx, So I mean, that's a nice draft, I mean, that would be like a really nice draft. So it really comes down to that. Anything is possible. It's the NFL. It's football, But it's kind of like I wanted to succeed so bad. I want to just take it very easy because it's very, it's like I said, Dolphin fans, we're so desperate, and we just grab onto any like possibility. And then when it doesn't happen, it's that was the worst part. It's the letdown. It's not even like we sucked. It's like you all year, and you knock on a door, and then you lose to the Titans or whatever. You know what I mean? Like all this crazy stuff, and it's a letdown.
Well, the big thing is that and you've coined this phrase hopium, but we were inundated with all this hopium. The hopium, the hopium train was going full steam. Yeah, it was going full steam. And and a lot of fans got hookwinked, that's
Oh
all it
man.
was.
It was a
And
massive drop this year. A lot of people was finally like, that's it, I'm done.
yeah. Yeah, yeah,
A
and that's why
lot.
you're getting. I think a lot of Dolphin fans are very cautious, as
It
well.
should be.
I am for sure.
Yeah.
So
Crazy if you're
and
not.
yeah, yeah. So I'm gonna let it play out, and I know Dolphin fans don't like to hear that, but I'm gonna be patient, and I'm gonna give them 3 years, and and take it from there. But I'm
Yes,
excited
trust
about
but
this.
verify. You've got to,
Yeah,
especially if you're doing what we do. You're trying to provide content. You're trying to, but
yeah.
it's not just content. You just, you got to have some kind of moral integrity to be honest. And it sucks eating crow if you're wrong. And the worst of it is you feed somebody else's hopes and then they crash. Like that's something I always hated to do. I think that's the worst because that was the worst for me. I remember in was it the 2009 playoffs for us? I had a friend who was a Ravens fan, and I was so like, we're going to. And I was like, Parcells the guy, we finally got it. And it just turned out to be a total like debacle. We got slammed by the Ravens. And I said,
we did.
That is it, man. That is it.
Yeah, we did.
It was a terrible feeling. And then I had it with Shula in 95 with all the free agency. And then I had 90. I was feeling good. Was it 93 when Marino blew his Achilles out?
Yeah,
And then I remember we were doing pretty good. And then Dwight Stevenson got blindsided by Marty Lyons. And it was like, I don't know. And then, the 2 Super Bowls before, I remember crying. Like the first Super Bowl, I was so young. I didn't remember watching. I just saw Riggins running and like, I didn't really understand the game. And I'm like, what happened here? We're going to win. Like, it's my team. I was just like stunned. But then Dan Marino was so invested, I grew up in New York and I'd be in the schools and everyone was like, I hate the Dolphins, but Dan's so good. And I was like, yeah, this is, yeah. But that was gutting, man. It opened up and I felt really good and it just went straight to hell. I cried as a little kid, man. It's been a long train of that, man. So but after the 2009, screw it.
I remember that Washington Redskins when they were the Washington Redskins. I remember that John Riggins run. He ran right over McCain was his name. That cornerback. Yeah, he ran right over him, man. I was like, oh man, scored a touchdown. I think he scored a touchdown.
Yeah, I couldn't process it. I'm like, we're gonna win.
Yeah,
and then all of a sudden it was like a handoff. Like I played back then, but I didn't really, I never I didn't know anything, And I was like, he's going. It was like a 30-yard run. I'm like, what the?
Yeah, exactly. I didn't
say that
ran
back
right
then.
over.
I was like 11 or something.
Yeah, he ran right over McCain, man. I think his name was McCain or McLean. Can't remember, but he was a little cornerback that we had back then. But anyway, so we talked about Sully. We talked about Hafley. I think we're both in agreement. I really like the guy, both of them. I like their honesty. I like them, their candidness. I like they're down to earth. They've worked their way through the ranks. So I think we got a good combination of a GM and a coach. And I'm not a big Slowick fan, same as you. But we got some others that I think might work out. I know we got a lot of youth, a lot of young coaches, some from college that came on board and everything. So we'll see how it works out. Man. I'm going to give them time. I'm going to give them at least 3 years, Yeah. But hey, if they do it next year, I'm not going to complain.
No, I think, look, I think for me, in one hand, I really like them, and I tell them, viewers and stuff, I really like. I can't help it. This is exactly what I want, but I got to be honest. But the beauty of the situations for Dolphin fans, because like I did a podcast on Willis, a lot of people are like, how can you bring this guy? He's like 4 games, this is ridiculous. So I did a study on how many reps they had seen. It was between 3,000 and 4,500 reps for Willis that Sullivan and Hafley have seen, along with 2 years of personal interaction, along with Sullivan being on the other side, going against this guy. If they don't get this eval right, then it's bad. This is going to be the easiest evaluation they're ever going to have on a quarterback. And so, I think they're going to do well. I don't think he needs to be a 10 or a 9, even an 8.
Right.
At the price they're paying, even if he's a 7, 7.5, and you get something out of you, or you draft the guy, you can move him to capital, but he can't be less than 7. And so
I agree.
We're going to get to see a quick view of who these guys really are without having to wait a long time. And then because we got these extra draft picks and this draft capital that we have is phenomenal. It's not the top of the draft, but it's close. It's like a top 5 maybe. So you're going to see this draft. You'll be able to evaluate Willis. You'll be able to evaluate the draft pretty well. And in a short order, you're going to know, especially when you see them on the field this year, what they're made of very clearly. Not definitively, but very clearly. And that's great that you don't have to wait and wait. So I like that.
Yeah, 100%. And going back to Willis, as you mentioned, I think I said the same thing on the show last week or week before, one of them. I said he's got to be a 7. I like to see him a 7. If he can be a 7, consistent. He can be consistent because they said that too. Consistency is a key. If he can be consistent, at a 7, even he's not going to have games. In games he may be a 6, he may be a 5 some games. But if he can consistently play, 10, 11, 12 games at a 7. Then I think we can have that 6 or 7 game winning streak, winning record,
But even more than that, look, so you got Ewers. He's a 7th round pick. Even if he could develop into be a good backup, you could get a 5th round, maybe a 4th round to a starved team. That's way more than you spent on a 7th. You didn't spend a pick on Willis. If he's a 7 and you go draft another quarterback, which I think they're going to, and he develops, then you got 2 other guys you can move off because you got 3 years on their contract to get something. The only way we would lose is if Ewers is no good, Willis is no good, and we miss on the quarterback. Then we're screwed.
Yeah. Then we are screwed. Yeah, 100%. And talking about quarterbacks, they brought in Ty Simpson, and they also talked to him at the combine as well. I got some inside information on.
Wouldn't that be interesting? They grab him with the first round, the second first rounder.
Oh my God, wouldn't it? Like number 30, maybe.
Yeah,
They might.
You know what? Look, if they really like him, if he falls into the, I personally think. I'm sorry for cutting you off.
No, you're good. You're good. Go ahead, brother.
I personally think that you shouldn't really trade up with that 11 pick unless something like spectacular and you can give a third, but I don't think that. But you have that extra third, you might be able to make a little bit of move for like Yankor, the tackle, or maybe Ty Simpson if he's languishing in that mid-round. And just think if you had Ewers, Ty Simpson, and Willis, it wouldn't be like, oh, it's going to help us this year. But just think of what you do if you develop even 2 of them.
Exactly. And I agree. I don't think Ty Simpson is NFL ready.
BMCD said, imagine we took him at 11. That'd be crazy.
Oh my God. I don't see that, but he wouldn't, I don't think he's NFL ready, like starter material right away, but you give him a year behind Willis, a year or even 2, that would be great.
What they should have done. That's what they should have actually. I thought they should have done with Tua. They should have had him sit behind Fitzpatrick.
At least a year.
Yeah, but that's what the problem is. It's just when you have ownership getting involved, and it's not football decisions. Because Green Bay is about that. They look. They had Favre. They got Rodgers. They got Love. And I forgot who was it. Matt. What was the guy they traded to like?
Oh, Matt Flynn.
Yeah, they got a killing for that too.
Yeah.
They got so many picks for that. So yeah, it's a piece of ammo.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's the beauty of it. That'd be great, man. But I like Yankor. Right now, I kind of like Yankor with that 30th pick. I don't think we're going to get an offensive lineman at 11.
Do you don't? What do you? Let's talk a little bit about the draft. What do you think we're going to get? How do you think this draft is going to play out? I know you did a whole podcast.
Yeah. I screwed it up on one guy. I thought the Saints would take Love, but I forgot they traded for Etienne. So there would be one of those guys. Because when I went through it, and if those guys go, it would be like Lemon would be sitting there, and Messidor, and those are the guys they interviewed. But if you Love is probably going to go in that top 10, and then that's going to push one of those guys to us. I don't know what teams view with Caleb Downs with that knee. Is it arthritic? Yeah. He had the damage. Will that make him fall? Will we take him at that if he falls to 11? I'm sort of look. I like Malinois. I would like him to fall to us. I love Styles. I love Styles, but I don't know if he's going to. Although I'm seeing some places maybe he does. Who knows? Mansour, I would love to have. I think that guy's a beast. He's got the high intellect, ran a 4.38, and they showed him with his shirt off. The guy looked like he was like a bodybuilder. And then I'm starting to shine on Bain. I dismissed him right off the bat, but then I saw someplace that Suggs had short arms, and I started watching. And I started, but I think, I don't know, I kind of feel like KC might grab him. Bain.
Ruben Bain.
I thought it would be Mansour, but they have investment in the cornerback position because they got rid of McDuffie. Right. But they've got a free agent, and then they got a second round pick and somebody else. They got a little bit of investment in there. And with Jones getting older, Bain could be that guy to get off because they're cap tight still. So they could use him to get off Jones, and you know what I mean? So, but I kind of am starting to like Bain a lot, but not fully yet. But it would be Styles, Malinois, and Mansour would be my dreams.
Mm-hmm. Well, and they also mentioned, I know, I think it was either Sully or Half. I think it was Half mentioned receivers. They were talking about Malik Willis. They said, we're going to give him some weapons, and he was talking about the draft. They're going to draft maybe two, maybe three receivers in the draft.
But I did a whole study on it in 15 years. I did 15-year tracking. They only drafted one receiver in the first round. That was Matthew Golden. He got injured and he stunk. They mostly spent second and beyond. And I think when you go over the last 15 years, almost 60% of the receivers they drafted were in the 5th to 7th round.
Okay, gotcha.
So they really believe in these guys, in the later rounds.
Yeah. And then they also spoke about they got to get better on the right side. And Hafley also mentioned that got to get a lot of more consistency out of Jonas Savaiinaea.
He's mentioned Savaiinaea?
Yeah. He said
I didn't hear that.
Yes, he said Jonas Savaiinaea has to be consistent. And then he said, of course, Austin Jackson, he has to stay healthy. He in the last 2 years,
even if he is healthy.
Well, I mean, he's serviceable.
For $10 million, I don't want serviceable.
Yeah. Well, a lot of folks like him. A lot of folks think he, that he really he helps out a lot in the run game. He's good in the run game.
Well, I'm not gonna knock anybody's evaluations, but he's no good. No good. Yeah. I mean, because think about it just in a simple context. We had the fastest throw game in the league, so that automatically offsets his production. And I did the numbers. Jackson's best year was like 23 when it was I think it was the I'm Sorry Austin campaign. Last year, what was his name? What was the guy we got rid of? The tackle we brought in the Big Ten. Who?
The tackle we brought in?
Yeah, last year he played. He was a big guy on the right.
Larry Borum?
Yeah, the numbers, go check Larry Borum's numbers last year. They're absolutely comparable, if not a little bit better than Jackson's numbers in 23.
And he's a backup.
Because we threw the quickest in the league. We didn't run inside. So the limited amount of gap, the limited amount of inside zone, it was all outside zone. Watch Jackson. He just runs out there and he can move a little bit, but I don't, look, everyone's allowed their own evaluation. Mine could be wrong, but I just don't see how I think just like Eichenberg. I think if Jackson leaves here, he's never starting.
That's interesting. Yeah, and Austin Jackson, I think it was 2 years ago or 3 years ago, he lost weight. He lost weight specifically.
He's got lots of injuries.
Well, he has lots of injuries, but he also lost the weight, so he'd be a little more mobile in the outside zone scheme that McDaniel ran. Now, with Slowick there, I don't know what the pass balance is going to be. I don't know if they're going to be, 60-40 like they were with McDaniel, or are they going to be 55-45, 50-50?
Oh, we weren't 60-40. We were like 70-30 or something, man. It was crazy.
Last year
got a little bit better. It got a little bit better. A little bit better. A lot of draws, though, too. A lot of draws.
So we were really high up there then when it comes to the pass balance.
Yeah, I knew the numbers from a couple, but I can't remember them. But it was ridiculous. It was like 60% of our yards were outside zone. It was the Achan's first year, and so we were so predictable.
So, do you think? I know we're both talking. We're assuming, right? And you know what the first three letters in assuming. But we're
my middle name.
Mine too. So we're assuming that they're going to run. They're going to run the ball more than they have the last 3 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, then Houston might have a problem when it comes to Austin Jackson.
Yeah.
And
I think Salyer could fill in. I think Salyer could fit in there.
Yeah. Salyer. Yeah. And I think he has played right tackle too. Hasn't he?
I think he's better on the left side though.
Okay. I don't know much about him, but I know he has played tackle and guard. I was thinking he might fill in on the right guard spot, but you never know. I mean, it depends on, as you said, it depends on the draft, how we go in the draft and all that good stuff. Yeah, so I have no clue. And even Hafley said he really didn't know what defense he was going to use. I know a lot of us have been speculating 4-3, but he said he's going to create a defense according to the what fits the players, that whatever fits their scheme, that's how he's going to do it. So he's not just going to, plug and play. So we'll see how that works out. But
if it was me, I'd put Salyer on the left guard side, and I would move Jonah to the right, so there's no excuses about the side of the ball.
Yeah,
you can cover one side up. I kind of like Salyer and Paul on the same side, and then Brewer can kind of help that out. That's what I would do.
And they might do that. They might very well do that. They might put him on the right guard this year.
I don't think the side of the ball matters that much to Jonah, though. He was just terrible.
Yeah.
Some people think it does. Maybe it does. It could help a little bit. I saw with Salyer, when he was on the right side, he wasn't nearly as good as he was on the left.
Yeah, I mean, it happens. Some folks just have that feel, for left or, right side they prefer, But we'll see. Maybe we'll see what they do, how they organize the offense and the defense for that matter. So you feel that they might draft, you think they're going to draft the guards and tackles maybe you think you're going to draft them in the second, third round, or do you think we're going to draft a tackle or guard in the first round?
Well, when I did the 15-year study, I think they only drafted 2 pure guards in the entire time. And I think that was like maybe 1 in the third or fourth round. They really don't like to draft just pure guards. That doesn't mean Sullivan's not going to. There was a lot of tackles that could play guard, guys that were considered offensive linemen because they could kind of fill one way or the other. But they weren't pure guards. So like a guy like Vega, I don't know if that's like where they're heading because they want guys that are a little bit more agile, and they don't really. From everything I saw, like I said, I was surprised. I was going through the numbers. I saw, tackles, center, O linemen, which are kind of like guys that were tackles that moved to guards, or guys that could swing a little bit. But there was only like 2 guards the entire time taken. Like
2.
in the
Wow.
15 years, yeah.
So
I definitely
who
think they're going to. For me, it would be, look, if you don't get Malinois, man, hopefully you get Iancor. I'm really starting to like the kid a lot.
You're thinking in the first round at draft 11.
Yeah, because if you go look at what they invest in over that 15 years, it was tackles, strong defensive. So there was like a couple of defensive tackles taken in that first round, lots of DBs, lots and lots of DBs. And that was really the majority. They liked tackles, offensive linemen, DBs.
Right.
Who else did I see? No centers. Centers were all like second and third round. They got love in the first round with the quarterback. 1 receiver with Golden. That was no good. Maybe a while ago, they drafted 1 linebacker. They got Rashawn Gary, who was a DN kind of edge. That was the one they got. But they were very light on the defensive exterior. It was mostly DBs and safeties and tackles that they went in the first round. So for me, like I think if they might be like, for me, Mansour, Iancor, I don't know if it's exactly him, but I think I see them grabbing like 1 tackle and a DB
in the first round.
Yeah, the first round. But I got to check the second round too, because some talent might fall there. I got to see where the slotting fits. But I would definitely expect them to get 1 lineman, a DB, and then maybe a receiver in that second round. They were pretty hot and heavy in the second round on receivers.
Yeah, and they mentioned
I have
like,
the numbers someplace. I should have brought it.
Yeah, that's no problem. But and like I said, they mentioned or Hafley mentioned that they're going to give Willis some weapons, some other receivers, and then he did mention the draft.
Yeah,
so
but for them, when you look at them, they're not like a lot of teams like say Greer, where you got to go spend 2 first-round picks on Waddle. They don't believe in that, so they're a play action team, and when you're a heavy play action team, you want guys that are 2-way go guys. So if you're a receiver out in the boundary, say like we put Waddle out there. If you're a DB looking at Waddle and you see play action, you're only playing over leverage because you're just worried about the deep. If that's a run and you catch it late, you just blow through him.
Right.
But if you got a guy in front of you that's a little bit bigger, a little better of a run blocker who can kind of get behind you, it's a 2-way go. You've got to hedge it. You close the leverage. You've got to be more concerted in kind of handling both them. And then that's when the play action takes advantage. The guy, you come in and then the guy slips you. And there's one guy we're looking at in the 4th round. I'm bad with names. And I was watching Steve Smith Jr. talk about him. And this guy is so intriguing. And they're talking about him being a 4th round prospect. I wish I could find his name. One of these smart people. I got to get it for you. But he's a guy that with that 3rd round, I don't know, he could become a 2nd round or something. I got to remember his name. I don't have time to look for it.
What position are you talking about?
Receiver.
Oh, wide receiver. Okay.
Steve Smith broke him down, and this guy really has, some people were worried about his competition level, but Steve Smith
is it Jeff Caldwell?
Maybe that's it. Yeah, maybe that's it. He's like
Thank you, Gene. Appreciate you, brother.
Thank you, man. I'm bad with names, brother. Thank you. I think that's who it is. I'll check on. Keep talking. I'll go look and make sure. But he was so intrigued. I watched film on him. Steve Smith. So I think Caldwell. I think that they could use those 3rd round picks for a guy like that, and I think that's him. I think that's him. I'm trying to look.
He also mentioned Ted Hurst.
Maybe it's Hurst. No, I think it's Hurst.
Hurst.
I think it was Hurst that I saw. Yeah, it was Hurst. That's who it was. Thank you, bro. Yeah, Ted Hurst. And he said, he was showing, he's like, dude, this guy, watch him, his positioning when the ball's in the air. And he had little nuances to his route, setting guys up. Now, he's not a blazer, but he's kind of fast. And he played a little bit of a low competition level. But he's a guy that Green Bay likes. Look at Watson. They found Watson like the third or fourth round. Their main guy.
Good. Yeah, he's good. Yeah, for sure.
I got to check dribbling. I'm still a little behind. I'm an OCD German. It takes me a day to do everything. Terrible. I'm sorry. If you're running play action, if you're really heavy on the play action, and that means you're generating a lot of runs, which is moving the clock along, you're wearing teams out, and you're not trying to get the early strike, with your speed receivers. So when these guys start getting tired and the play action comes and you got a two-way go receiver in front of you, these cornerbacks will either break on the over, on the deep, or they're going to cheat and be a little late on the run, and that opens stuff up. Right. The play action with a mobile quarterback, that's another big piece. This guy runs a 4.38 40, Willis.
Holy Moses. That's right.
So you don't need, and there's a whole trend going on. Yeah, he is. I know. I hope not. I hope they were stupid. I liked him, man. I was really watching, and I liked what I saw. But then when I watched Steve Smith Jr. break him down, it was so intriguing because he was showing like little stuff that I hated the receivers. I was a running back, so I really I hated quarterbacks, but I made friends with them. But I hated the receivers because they're such jerks, Not if any of you guys are receivers, no. But he was showing just the little nuances of his routes and his size and his control in the air and his strength of his hands. This guy is a guy that could be. Now, there's a caveat because he did play against lower level competition, but he's very interesting. But they just want those kind of guys. They're not going to overpay. They'll shoot in the second, third. They're more hot and heavy on the DBs and maybe even at times D tackle and offensive linemen. That's their value. But we got a lot of picks, and they want those guys, these big guys. Because if you look at the kid over, you look at Puka Nacua. You look at the kid over in Seattle. There's a whole movement now with a lot of teams that it's not about these small, fast receivers anymore because you got these small defenses. It's about guys who find ways to get open on their own.
Yeah.
And they can out position and use the size. It's an arms race, and they're trying to counter that arms race that the defense kind of has going here. And there's a big shift, like from the worthy type guys to these big possession guys, not slow necessarily, but guys that can also run the play action and run block. These are like critical features. Not to mention, big guys are often injured less than the smaller guys. And once your speed gets a little, because all these guys get dinged up, and so when the speed limits a little bit, that now it's like a cheetah. A cheetah gets a little cut and it can't run its 60 miles an hour and it dies. But if you got a little bit of everything and you're big, you can kind of push through the brutal NFL season. And a lot of teams are heading in that direction away from, not saying you don't want, Randy Moss or whatever, but it's not imperative anymore.
And the point too, here is it carries over when they play in the cold weather. And that's another thing. A lot of these
big feet tracking into the dirt, into the field, the small little feet,
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these speed guys are at a disadvantage, So these bigger guys, more physical, they don't have to be 4.2, 4.3, even 4.4, 5.6. In that kind of weather, in those conditions, that's moving. Especially a big guy when all these other safeties and quarterbacks, they're going to be slowing down because a lot of them are. So it plays out to the receiver's advantage. But I guess I want them to take a big receiver. I don't understand why they got Atwell. I mean, I know he's kind of a gadget guy. A straight line, speedster, I guess, I mean, I guess he's okay to have on the team. But then again, a lot of these guys, there's 43 players on this team that are on minimum wage contracts. And that doesn't mean all of them are going to make the team. See, a lot of folks think a lot of these guys are going to make the team. Some of these guys that you may like Atwell and Tolbert and some Heck and some of these other guys that we got, they may not make the team.
Yeah,
you'd be surprised, especially if the draft goes well, right? As you said, if we get some, 2 or 3 or maybe even 4, 2 impact players and maybe 3 or 4 guys that are, or 2 or 3 guys that are just, good starters, So a lot of these other guys may not make the team. So
and two, remember that Atwell is a guy. Just think about how fast Willis is. Scramble drills. Even if you get him booting out, that what do you think about Texas A&M MG cheese biscuits? Who's that?
Texas A&M.
Yeah. But who's cheese biscuits?
I have no clue. And I'm here in Texas, so I don't know.
Is it a player? I don't know. I'm not that deep into it. I don't not like these. It takes me forever. It takes me for days to go through players. Hit me up. Maybe I'll know who you're talking about. Sorry there. I'm trying. But so look, you need guys to create leverage. Atwell's a guy you got who can get out there. Maybe he's going to be in the punt return game, the return game. He just sets leverage. To me, I think Achan's going to be a lot more involved in the pass game. I think, think about it. Go look what he did. He could do the post. He could do the fly. He could do the out. He already catches the screens. There was a beautiful play he had last year. I think, was it Ewers, where he does an in and then come back out. And it was masterful. And it was a great little route. And he had that post corner, I think he had with the touchdown.
Yeah.
But you need a little bit of speed, and Atwell you can get off of. He might be a special teamer in some degree.
My concern, he's small. He's only 165 pounds.
165. That's crazy.
I know. 5'10", 100 or 5'9", 165. He's small,
Chase Bonte. Yeah. Chase Bismonte. Yeah, I'm sort of liking him. I haven't fully invested in him, but I like he is a tough dude. He can run block. I got to dig into him. I'm not on him just yet. I did a cursory study, but he was a guy that there's a guy who I enjoy listening to who's big on him. He's usually pretty good with the offensive line. Yeah, he's one of the guys I have my eyes on. I'm trying to get to him. Right now, I'm just finishing Yankor, and I really like Yankor. This guy he's only been playing for 2 years, and there's a guy Dolphin Dundee. He's a funny dude. He was like, "This is my guy," and I'm like, I kind of liked him, but he is like obsessed with him. But he made me look into him. And he was I think he's from like Nigeria, and he never played football before. I think he's only in his 3rd year. But this guy made huge incremental growth. He's got a little bit of weakness as far as driving guys in the run game, but his athletic talent, his growth curve, his intelligence. He really has a lot to him. So I checked the Duncan and Bo. I was on him a couple of weeks ago, but I got to get to him. He's a guy. I think I'm going to do that next. I got to write that down. Actually, thanks.
Sounds good. But
yeah, I liked what I saw from him on the cheese biscuits. Don't say biscuits. I'm trying to cut the carbs down.
Yeah, I was trying to figure that out. I was like, "What cheese biscuits?"
but I don't know. Maybe it's like biscuits. I don't know. I'm not that deep into the draft. I don't like some. Yeah. I know some, like George from Finn's Faithful, and maybe even Sam.
Yeah, he has a good podcast.
I can't do it. I can't. I just sit there and I'm like looking at the film. I think about it, and like a day's gone. I don't know how these guys do it, man.
Yeah,
I don't know how they do
it. It's definitely a full-time
job.
It's
a real talent. And I like what George does. I want to get into that. He has like a whole draft board and stuff. It's really cool. I wish I'm also old too. I'm 54, man. I'm like, I wake up tired.
Oh, geez. You're a young buck, man.
What are you now?
I'm 66.
Oh, you're still young. You're still young.
Yeah, young up here. That's about it. But
Hey, you're still
Curtis,
working out.
man.
You're still doing lifts and everything. I see your stuff.
Oh yeah. I'm still working
Okay.
out and everything. Right now I'm into sprinting. I'm doing like
Yeah, I'm trying to
40,
get there. I'm trying to get there.
40,
How are you
40.
doing with that? How
I'm
you doing
doing
your
good. I
sprinting?
mean, I'm doing 40-yard sprints. What I do is I'll warm up by doing, some like 20-30% of a 40-yard sprint. And
I'm
then
jealous.
once I'm warmed up, I'll do like 2 or 3 warm-ups like that. And then I'll go all out 100%, like 40-yard sprints.
So good for
And
you, man.
and then I'll do like I'll skip like 40 yards up and back, and I'll do that a couple of times. It's good for the bones, and all that.
You're
And
inspiring me, man.
so yeah, that's what I do. I'm into that now. And I want to get back into boxing. I want to get back into my boxing. Though I haven't done that in a couple
I
of
know.
years, but I definitely want to get back at hitting the bag and shadow boxing and jump rope and little sparring. But I'm not going to start right away. It's going to take at least 2-3 months to to get
For
back
me, it's even.
back.
I'd say I was really good shape a couple of years ago, but now I've just been sitting forever. I'm in shot. There's a Brazilian jiu-jitsu place at the bottom of the mountain where I live. I'm trying to get there.
Is it Gracie Jiu-Jitsu? Gracie?
I don't know. I got a friend. He's special forces, and he's been asking me to go. But he's like 6'5". That guy. I think he wants to just throw me around.
What's he use
I
you
know
as a
him.
dummy bag? Huh?
Oh, dude, the guy is huge. He's like from like South Africa, and he's like special forces. He does like underwater, and he's like, "Oh, come on down, mate." Whatever they talk, I can't even do his stupid accent. But he's a giant. He's like, "Hey, you gotta come." I'm like, "No, what are you? You're gonna hurt me, man."
Yeah, man. You
I want
need to do it,
so
man.
bad.
You'll get back in shape quick. Rolling around jiu-jitsu, man. That gets you in shape. I mean, it's great. The community's good too. Jiu-jitsu community is great.
Yeah.
I
haven't trained fighting in so long. It's depressing.
Yeah.
Like my daughter's asking me to teach her how to fight with weapons and stuff. So like the last couple of weeks, so I'm like starting to get the fever back.
Yeah.
I felt so bad. I'm like, come at me with the knife. She comes at me like chopper. I'm like, oh wait, I'm sorry. She's daddy.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Getting your kids involved in that, man. That's great. That's really good.
Because that stuff, that sprinting, fast twitch muscle fiber, exertion, that's core to staying young.
Yeah,
and they were talking about how the sprinting really it's almost like a fountain of youth. It releases a lot of stuff.
And it's good for me because I can't stand running long distance.
Oh, I can't either. I know you're like me. You're like me.
I hate it, man. I mean, 10 minutes, I'm good in my sprinting. I'm good. And it's basically, it's like running, 4 or 5 miles, and it only takes me 10 minutes, to do my sprint.
They say that if you run long distance, not super long, mid range,
right,
a lot of free radicals get released in you. It's actually not healthy. It's good for the heart. You're either supposed to run like marathon to like burn out the free radicals or sprinting. Sprinting is way healthier.
Well, I like sprinting too because you don't lose as much muscle mass. In fact, you build muscle, and like you said, the fast twitch muscles and all that. Now, I
haven't sprinted in like 12 years.
Yeah, take it light, take it easy. But and then I do a lot of walking too. I walk a couple miles, 5 times a week.
I'm jealous,
and walking is underrated too.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
It really is.
Oh yeah.
It really is.
Yeah, my wife is so cruel. She took me, we live in the mountains. And so they had this like from one waterfall to the other. And it's like all these steps going up and down. She took me out over there. It was like an hour there, an hour back, dude. She's laughing. Like, you thin little girl. I'm a fat man. You can't drink me out with you. And I was like, what are you doing? It was good though. It felt good. It felt good.
Yeah, man. Sort of. You do. It's great. And like you said, I'm 66, but I'm looking for longevity. And I don't mean longevity, living a long life. I'm talking about as well,
Yeah.
however many years I'm here on this earth, I have left on this earth. I want it to be quality. I want it to be a quality way of life. I don't want to have to go to the toilet, and can't get up. You know what I mean?
No. It's better
So,
to drop dead. It's better to
yeah,
drop.
for
That's
sure.
why, I love Conan the Barbarian. I've read Robert E. Howard's novels like 10 times each or whatever. And so Conan, if you read the stories, he finally becomes the king of Aquilonia. And his last story, he gives up his kingship to his son, and he just gets on the boat with the remaining of his heroes because he doesn't want to die soldered on the throne. And so he goes off his last adventure to die in battle because he's a Sumerian. He's not going to just die of old age. I'm like, that's the way to go.
Yeah, for sure. 100%, man. For 100%. But anyway, Curtis, man, I appreciate you for joining the show tonight. This was a great conversation, although we got kind of off the beaten path, but that's okay. It's the off season. It's the off season. But I haven't done my Aging and Strong show in a few weeks now. I'm going to have to start doing that again.
You inspired me. I'm serious. You inspired me, man. Dude, if you're 66 and I'm not doing this stuff, man, I'm serious. You really did get me amped. I'm going to start. I'm going to get myself together to sprint.
You should.
I thank you. I've been watching you do that for a while, and I'm like, man.
The Aging and Strong?
Yeah, I catch it, and we talk, and I'm like, man, I'm impressed. You shame me. You shame me into action.
For those of you that don't know, I do have another podcast. It's called On the Finstock Sports Network. It's called Aging and Strong. I haven't done one in a few weeks, but I'm going to start back doing that again. It's mainly for 50+ community, but a lot of young, and it's not only for men too; it's for females as well, and for young folks. I'm sure you can get a few tips here and there, as well. I have special guests on. Last guest I had on was a lady. Man, the name is skipping me right now. I'm sorry. She has a good podcast too, and she's 70 years old, and she does competitive bodybuilding, and strength training, and she's also a personal trainer. And she quit her corporate world just to become a personal trainer because she has a passion for.
That's great.
For 50+ community, and she don't look a day over 40 years old. She's 70. You can check the podcast on Aging and Strong. It was a couple of weeks back. I had her on. Yeah, she was.
I'm serious. I've been like lightly lifting the last couple of weeks, just lightly.
Good.
And I have friends, but this really inspired me, dude. Really.
Yeah.
I got to get my act
together. When it comes to lifting and stuff, like for me, I work out twice a week, lift weights twice a week. I need more recovery at my age. I limit my sets, and I keep my reps between 3 and 5. And I do for older folks, it's the high intensity that counts. Lifting heavier, light weights is not going to do much for you. But keeping it around 80% of your 1 rep max, sub maximal lifts, is good. You're going to get a lot of benefit out of it. Anything less than 75-80%, you're not really going to get a benefit out of lifting. You might get a little tone, but you're not going to get stronger. You're not going to get stronger, and especially for us older folks, we need to build that bone density up and all that stuff. But weightlifting is really good for a lot of stuff. But
anyway. I couldn't believe it. 4 years ago, I was into heavy powerlifting for 2 years, and my numbers were getting pretty good. I was up to 130-pound 1 rep max curl, strict curl. And I went the other day to go curl again. I'm so used to it just bouncing back. I started out with 40 pounds. I'm up to 70 now, but your muscle memory disappears, but it disappears so fast this age.
Yeah,
it disappears so fast if you're not lifting.
It does. Yeah, it does. It does. You're right. 50+, it does.
Scary, man. Scary.
Yeah, but the good thing about it is you've had a base of good strength, so that muscle memory will kick in, and you're doing the right thing. Start off, light, and then instead of adding 5 pounds, you may be able to add 10 or 15 pounds, because of that muscle memory, and you've had a base, strength before.
Yeah.
So, you know how it is. It'll kick in. But anyway, Curtis, again, I know we're off the beaten path. I'm talking about what
let's get out of here, man.
I can talk all day when it comes to health.
I enjoy talking to you. I'm about to say, I like you, man. It's fun. I don't talk to anybody. I talk to my dog and my kids and my wife and my cats. So not like I'm finally going to talk to somebody.
I hear you, brother. But anyway, thanks again, Curtis. And
thank you.
I'm gonna have you on again periodically here throughout the off season, and then of course when football season starts. So I appreciate you, man. Make sure you guys go check his show out, Ace Per Head.
Yeah,
got some great content there. And Finn's Faithful Podcast, George with Jason Sarney. He's got some good stuff. And you can come back over here at Finn's Talk Sports Network and check out our shows here. We've got a bunch of shows on here on the Finn's Talk Sports Network as well. We have so many now I couldn't even name them all. But you can catch me on Real Talk Finn's Talk. I tried to come on Tuesdays, but lately I've been busy with family activities and things, and for the next 2 or 3 months, I'm just going to have to try to fit it in when I can. So you just have to look for me on Finn's Talk Sports Network and catch me then. But again, guys, everybody that was in the chat, I see you, Hot Dog. Indeed was in here. Finn's TV was in here. Cat for Life was in here at one point. I know I can't. Let me see who else. I can't find you now. But anyway, I appreciate all of you joining me tonight. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're new to the channel. Curtis, again, thank you so very much. And remember,
pleasure.
Dolphins #1, baby. Dolphins #1.